Going. That's done. Sorry, I was trying to talk. Yeah, I did see the actual queries. That was pretty
That's
cool.
really good. Now you don't look right anymore.
Exactly.
Plus, you have those libraries where there's already presets in there that you can use, and just even if it's just changing the color to match your logo or something like that.
The only tool you have is album. Now, a file can be multiple albums.
You got a lot more on your show reel this time. I was taking a look at your intro. Nice.
Hello, welcome everyone. It's another Tinkering with Tech. I hope everybody can hear me. That's always the thing that I always forget is to turn my mics on. So I think I've done it. It looks like the meter's bouncing, so I think I'm good. William Rock, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. Good. I'm so glad that you said yes and you could come on today. I know a couple weeks there we had a couple conflicts and things like that, but I am so glad that you're here, and I know that you're going to cover some awesome stuff. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. I see Mark out there with a comment. And guys, listen, feel free to add plenty of comments we were talking about this in the pre-show. William and I said, hey, look, throw the comments out there. We'll bring them up as we need to and just keep this thing rocking and rolling. I mean, he showed me the slides, man. It's awesome. He did an amazing job. I mean, seriously, every time you do, I love how thorough you are. And it's just great. It's fantastic. So seriously, ask the questions. I can stop them if it's pertinent to the point that we're talking about at that time. I'll bring it in and I'll bring it up. But seriously, it's those that haven't seen you before and everything else, kind of give them an idea. Tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Basically, I've been doing internet marketing since 1998, and I've been having a computer in my hand since the Apple II. So learned my reading and writing on the computer, which was quite interesting. Thank you, Dad. I've actually become a platinum top contributor with the Google search community and Google Assistant. And as we're talking today about Google My Business, I am a rising star, which is right below a top contributor. Nice. For that platform as well. And what that means is I do answer, when people have questions out there, they're always going to a help forum on Google's platform, and they're asking their questions, and I'm one of those volunteers that jump in and help out, just like you, Mike. So
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's such a cool program. It really is. I love the top contributor program. That's why I enjoy bringing you guys on, any of you top contributors that we can have and we can do. I love having you guys on because we get to see each other, once a year, and we get to collaborate and chat and talk and stuff. And it's just really cool to meet other people that like to help people. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I really do look at it that way. And so I remember the first summit that I even got a chance to go to. You and I, Karen Chin, walked us around San Francisco. So it was awesome, man. I love it.
The first day, that was the day that she introduced me to Google Local Guides.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, she was telling us about it, and obviously you jumped on it, but yeah, that's awesome.
Now I'm sitting at level 8, so almost to level 9.
Nice.
There's only 10 levels up there, right?
Yeah, something like that. It's hard to get to 9 too. I know that. And I mean, I've been looking at it going, okay, I don't think I'll be there anytime soon.
That's even with the top contributor program, as it different tiers. Like I'm a platinum top contributor,
right?
And I think there's another one right above me, but so now I've got another opportunity to go to the next level. So
yeah, and they're changing all that too. I mean, I was a platinum, then I became a universal, and then I was a mentor. So I was like a bunch of those. So I don't know how that's going to work now with the levels and stuff. But
well, and it's great you mentioned mentor. I'm also a mentor as well.
Right. Yeah, we made you a mentor. That's right. Everybody's like, come on, we got to get William rocking here. He knows too much about these other things. Yeah, it was awesome.
So no, it's great program. Anybody that other experts that are watching the show or whatever, just come out and help us out. Answer a couple questions, and it's just I'm going to touch about. I got a couple slides with that community, the forums, how to ask the questions. So those that don't want to be a top contributor, they can still go ask the questions that you need help with. It's amazing that they have so many different products. I mean, we're talking about Google My Business here, but it could be Chrome. It could be
right.
You have a question with YouTube. You might have a question with Webmaster
Gmail, whatever. Yeah, anything. It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
There's a community, and there's a top contributor, and they have Googlers that are in there as well. So employees help us. All right. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I have a lot of fun with what I do, and I love to teach. And I'm glad that we have looking at the comment stream on my other side. So paying attention to that as well, and ask your questions, like Michael mentioned. Ask the questions as I go through something. You might have a question on it. Put it in the chat, and we'll pull that right up.
Yep. All right. Go ahead if you're ready to screen. If you're ready to screen share, I'll get that all ready, and we'll kick that off and let everybody see. Because I'm gonna tell you what, folks, you're gonna love it. And then anybody that's in the community can come in afterward, ask Richard as much stuff as you want. It is a paid-for community. I always kind of push that a little bit. It's $10 a month. Come in for a month, try it out, and you can always stop at any time. But I'm going to tell you what, once you're in there, a lot of people love it. I mean, it's really kind of cool. Chad LaFarge says, I'm a lowly level 6 out there. He said, that's fun.
6 is not bad, though.
I know, I swear.
All right, so you should see my screen now.
They will right now. Yep, they do.
I'm going to go into present mode here.
Okay.
That should give us our full screen here.
There we go. Looks good.
All right, so there. Oops, I already went one slide ahead. So what we're going to be talking about today is a little bit of Google My Business, but we're going to have a surprise to have some other things kind of enter in there my main goal today is if you own a business, these are free tools that you can definitely take advantage of that Google gives us. One is going to be Google My Business. That's going to be our map. That's going to be on, the whole map that's out there. I teased with a screenshot just previously again. Let me close out my chats there. I just noticed something was in my right-hand corner. So Google Analytics is another tool that's free. And then Google Webmaster Tools, which now is actually, Google Webmaster Tools is now called Google Search Console. So any of those people that worked with this in the past, there's two of the same thing, just a different name. So let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. So when we talk about the maps,
and that's very common too. I mean, I'm going to add that. It's very common for them to just change the name out of the blue. I mean, they just do that sometimes. They really do. Well,
and if you're in business, you probably saw with Google AdWords per se. AdWords just went through a change, and now that's Google Ads.
WordSense or AdSense or I don't know. Google Ads. I don't know. Who knows?
I forgot what their name is now, but yeah. Same thing, but it's just you're still advertising on their platform using the same software. It's just a different brand, different logo. They like to do that every year. It's a refresh.
Yeah.
So I used Casey Strings in this case. It's a good friend, Anton Kreutz of mine. I help him with his marketing as well, and thank you, Anton, for allowing me to use your company as an example throughout our presentation today.
Yes, thank you, Antoine.
So I typed in Casey Strings. If you notice up here, I'm in the default search. So when you first search for something on Google, you're going to see all, right? You have all those other categories that you can choose from, shopping, maps, news, images, more, right? So that little drop down. So on this search right now, I'm searching for a specific company. You can see on the right-hand side, there's actually the map profile. It gives me my address. It gives me my open hours, telephone contact information, and then down below gives a review score, and there's even more information to be found. Just as kind of a layout of this page, the first page is going to be Casey Strings, which is the company that we're looking at today, which is a violin, cello, bass manufacturer and repair company. So here locally in Kansas City. So you'll see kind of their different environments here. When we kind of go to the next level, we're seeing a different view though. And that, remember when we were looking at the all screen, we actually had multiple things, shopping, maps, news. This is when I click on the actual maps tab and I'm doing the same search, Kansas City Strings or KC Strings. I'm gonna get a different look and feel because I don't want just the search results. I now want just the map results. And so when we look at that, we can see the address. We have a lot more detail. We can see 26 reviews. It's a violent shop. I can get directions quickly. I now know, so going back to the website address, I can click on that. But even below, I can say, oh, I want to actually take a look at pictures. So there's more information on that in case some of your visitors haven't really, I'm sure you have, because every time you open up your smartphone, you're basically asking for a business, and these are the results that you're getting. And going back into Google My Business, as a business owner, we're going to start talking about how we manage what this looks like. So let's go to the next slide. So same thing. So Google My Business, when we talk about Google My Business, I put up here as an example, just type in the word Google My Business, and you'll come up with a result right away. And it's going to take you right to the information here with how it works, resources, a lot of information. But the biggest one here, if you have not registered your company online, it's super easy, right? So add or claim your business, and it's going through a process. So you're going to have a Google account by default. Most people actually have one of those these days. And then you're just going to attach your business to that listing. And then what it's going to do is it's going to send you a postcard. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But as that postcard gets to you, it's going to have a verification number that's unique to you that you would log back into the Google My Business dashboard and then verify your listing. And now you can control everything from your photos to your reviews to everything. Anything that Google shows.
Yeah, that's nice.
So this is the main website that they have out there for it. And I would encourage you, if you're a business, go out and look at how it works, resources, and read through the opportunities that you have. Again, this is free. This does not cost you anything to do. By default, Google probably already has your Google or your listing. Even if you're a brand new listing, it knows that you just came in business. If it's not, then you can just type in your address and register it that way. And I'll show you that in a second. Going back, they also have a telephone number you can call. So if you have any questions, you can see that right down here at the bottom of the page. You can call them and ask them questions. So this wasn't available a long time. This is kind of a new thing that they're actually saying, hey, get a hold of us now if you have problems.
Yeah.
Which is nice because we didn't have a telephone number before. So when I talked about, being able to find your company, I would start out with a simple search. So on the Maps tab, so going back to when you do a full search on Google, it says all. Click on the Maps tab. It's really easy, and you'll have a search box here. Search Google Maps and just type in the address or the business name. Once you've done that, you'll actually be prompted for. You'll see either your information, and then there's going to be a little button that says Claim Your Business, or you might not see yourself at all, and that's where you're going to be following the next step and being able to add yourself. And it's got prompts all the way through. So, and I'll show you that as well. So verification, we touched upon this in the beginning of the process. There's a lot of documents out there. So support.google.com business answers is going to be what they have is kind of like a knowledge graph. Or sorry, not a knowledge graph. It's basically a knowledge resource. So frequently asked questions, to sort of say. And then it's got additional things that you can go from there. Pretty simple. But what you're doing is you're verifying your map listing, and then they even have when you ask Google for a search, right? So Google My Business verification process. You'll get taken to one of these help documents, and this video right here is a great example of simple. You can watch the video. It walks you through the same processes that I'm going to teach you today, and you also see over at the right-hand side additional things like add your business listing or how to or even edits. So there's documents on so many different things. They've done a fantastic job with how they have arranged their help center. So here's an example of that Claim This Business. So when you actually type in that business name or that address, you'll be able to see the actual listing, and it may have like a blue image, might not have anything, might not even have your business hours, or they could be incorrect at the same time. So they don't know exactly your business hours. Going back to the same reason why it's important for a business owner to go, hey, let's go ahead and claim this business so I can correct that business hours so my customers don't get to me at the wrong time of day and get frustrated. So that also helps with mediating negative reviews.
Gotcha.
So claim your business. And here it's super simple. It's a button you click, and it'll be prompted like this. So what is your business name? You start to type in the information. By continuing this, agree to follow. They're basically terms of service and privacy policies. So you're going to follow the prompts. It's one prompt after the next, and that's where at the very end of this process of just answering their questions, you'll then get that postcard message. And sometimes they do it otherwise. They do like through a telephone number. So there's other ways you can verify your business than just a postcard. The postcard does take 5 to 7 business days. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get to you in your mail, but then it's going to have that unique ID that you'll type in afterwards. So this is what it looks like. You'll get a card in the mail. It's sealed. You can see the edges on it. You have to actually open it up, and then there's a verification code right here. I've stacked it so you can't see this code, of course, but at the same time that's the number you're going to be logging into it. It's got the instructions on how to do this. So you visit the actual google.com support my business to learn more, but then once you go into the visit google.com / verify my business, it walks you through. You're going to log into your account and then go through the process. And then if you get lost, there's additional help information that Google has in their help center. Now, if you actually still can't get any information from that help center, they also have a community forum. And that's where, Michael, you and I were talking about being top contributors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Those are basically you're going to be able to click on the community up here on the top, and you'll be able to see exactly what other people have questions on, so you can probably learn from that, but then you can also type in your own question. I think that's where I'm going to be going next. So with that, I mentioned that I'm a rising star up here, so basically shows on my profile, you'll actually see probably in the beginning nothing. But if you are an avid poster like we are, eventually you kind of get up into that that statue of helping enough businesses. But you can see in the middle here, discussion, categories, live feed, top members. What you'll want to do if you do have a question, and I've kind of put this long arrow down to that pink button, it's really easy. You click on the pink button and you fill out the actual questions. So at the problem you're having, so subject, the category, and then you get a chance to type your message. So as a typical forum, it's going to ask simple things. So you need to actually provide it with, and they've given you the information, your business name, your current address, all the information that you need, that you're probably gonna need help on. If it depends on your question, of course.
Yeah.
And then people will actually chip in. So it might not be a top contributor, but it might be another business owner. They might help out too. Like they've already gone through that process. Oh yeah, I've done that before. Here's how you do it. So as well, so besides just the help forums for Google My Business, we'll go a little bit further on this, but if you just do say you have something, going back to our first conversation, Chrome or any other product, they have a help desk for just about everything. Well, actually every product they have has a forum. So type in Google Help Forums. You'll find.
Real quick, I wanted to, Ross had a good one out there. She says, I have verified my business in this way a few years ago. Is it needed to repeat when changing the address?
You know, it depends on your business. I've actually done it a couple different times. It doesn't necessarily need a postcard verification.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to be doing is in your dashboard, you will then, you'll change your address in there, and I'll have a slide on being able to do that. But when you click on inside your dashboard information or info tab, there's a section where you see all your hours and you see your address. Click on that address, and there's a little pencil icon.
Yeah.
On that, put your new address in there. It's not going to happen right away, but then it should take that same company and move it to the new address. Nice. So, and if it doesn't, sometimes it does take a little, like I've seen it take anywhere from 2 days to maybe a week, but then if it doesn't actually change within a week, again, there's the help forums you can jump back into. There's the telephone number you can ask, and most of the representatives that answer that phone, they'll be able to verify you as pretty quickly.
I think you would have to change your business in order to have to redo it. But as long as it's the same business, I think as long as you can change the address, is that probably close to clear?
Because you don't want to lose all your reviews.
Right, exactly.
All of that is all in one place. In a business,
Mm-hmm.
Google knows your business is going to be, oh, I had this spot as I started my
Mm-hmm.
business. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I got either busier and I needed to get a better spot, and I moved to this spot. And so they know the businesses move to different locations. So
Mm-hmm.
they're flexible with that information. And like I said, if you have problems, it's either the help forums you're going to go to. I'd recommend starting out in the help forums, but then if you can't really get any answers, go to the telephone number. So there's going to be a person on that line that can help you out.
Yeah, great info.
So going back even into the help place, so Google has, when you actually click on that Google Help, so going back into the search, if you had a problem with anything else, go to Google Help Forums, and you'll find this master link, which is pretty simple, support.google.com. And then it'll take you to this screen. So you can actually describe your issue, and it'll have like pre-answers for that issue, because there's a lot of, it's amazing how many questions come in per day, per hour, per minute, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
It is amazing to watch, and being since I've started with the forums back in 2012. And so I've been with it, that's a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it grow throughout the years, and this interface is fantastic. It's easy to use. If you can't find, like as you're describing your issue, if you look down here, you actually have other products, and these are pretty much their default products. But if you go scrolling down a little bit more, you'll see even further. The list goes, it's like an endless list. It's beautiful. I've kind of marked up this one, Google Search. That's the forum that I primarily hang out in, that and Google Assistant. So love those areas there. top contributor. If you're interested in the program, definitely go out, just type in Google top contributor. You'll find the page, information, and how to get involved. So
that's us.
Yeah, yes. Well, we're going to be meeting each other down in October. So
That's
going
true.
back to what we're talking about with Karen, we're seeing each other October 31st, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right in the middle of Halloween. So that'll be interesting anyway.
Yeah. So let's log into one of the back ends of Google My Business. Let's take a look at this real quick. And I've highlighted some of the companies I didn't have access to show, so I blurred them out. I actually have 13 locations on mine that I run, I help with. So you'll see when you log in, you'll see your location. So if you have multiple multiple locations, you'll see those locations. Each location does require you to verify it each time. So going back to the question that was asked, if you're moving locations, that's different. You're going to take that and edit it from the information tab. So you'll see now that as we're in the navigation here, when I talk about that info, it's right over here on that left-hand side. So you've got home, post, info, insights. So on this info tab, that's where you're going to be changing your address,
right,
or even adding another listing. You can see down here at the very bottom of my screen, add new location. So say your company is growing, you need to add another location to the maps. You're already verified with this master account. So it's simple. You just add that, verify it, and you're on your way. And that's where, if we go back that screen, that's where you're going to have the dashboard of all this information. You'll see status of, like, I've got pending updates. So somebody probably recommended a different business hours, or it could be a list of different things. So, and when you click on that, they'll actually tell you. So it says review updates. Once you click on that button, it'll tell you what updates are pending. So the public can actually participate. So they're not going to change your information, so to say, but they're going to give you suggestions. Like, for example, you may have holiday hours, but you're not actually showing. So all of a sudden, you show up at their business and they're not open. That's going to be on their cell phone, and they can actually make a suggestion, and that's what those come from.
Interesting.
So as we're in the control panel, this is the overview report. So this is when we look at home, right? So we're actually seeing everything from the advertising opportunity getting started. So that's going to be the AdWords. We were talking about the brand change, but it's still ads. And then over on your right-hand side is performance. How many views did your listing get? Map views versus search views. So you can see if it's going up or it's going down, right? And these are fun. These are your posts. So a post to your map listing could be a special. They last for 7 days. And you can have, I think, up to 4 going at the same time. And when you look at your map listing, there'll be like a little scroller. It's really neat, especially if you're like a restaurant and you have different specials. They're only running that week. You can have that running with information, and they can click on it. And here's the neat part too. You can click it out to your website. So if you have a special going on, you can have still a link out to your website. You can include videos. There's a lot of things to explore in this product, but you can also see how many people viewed it and how many people clicked on it, right? So let's go a little bit further. So in post, we were just talking about post. Here's how easy it is. I mean, you really click on the write a post, and you start writing your information. You give it an image. You can add whatever, if it's a special, and you set it up there. It's not live until you publish it. So you can, preview it and everything else. And then again, it's going to last for 7 days. So we've talked about the view. So here's another one example where they were talking about the base. Going back to your question that
the info.
Yep. So Sheila asked. So back into the info, here's those little pencil icons. So when you're looking at your address, that little pencil icon, just click on that, and then change your address, hit save, and that's the process that's going to actually start moving your location from that place to the new place.
Gotcha. Nice.
So looking at that hourly piece here, when you click on the hours tab, it's going to bring up everything that you currently have set on your profile. And so in here, all you'd have to do is simply click in. So 10 o'clock, maybe it's now 9 o'clock. Click in. You're gonna have a little drop down, and it's gonna say, okay, perfect, 9 o'clock. Now you would just go down and hit apply, and it now changes it real time. So you have full control of your map listing. Going back to why is it important to verify your listing? That's one of the biggest things. So I might not be open on Saturday and Sunday. So in this case, I am closed on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I don't want people showing up to my store.
Or abbreviated hours on Friday or something like that. It's just because it's different, so that way you can have it so you can plug in per day. And I think the new one is that pretty recent that you did that? Because I was just checking. Isn't there one where you have holidays? Isn't it on there as well? I mean, like down.
Yeah, holidays.
Oh yeah.
Pop up,
Okay.
and that's actually on your right hand. So you'll see on this window here.
Yeah.
I go back one. So in here in the advanced information, normally they have that.
Okay. Okay.
Or it's below this tab.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah. I know if a holiday's coming up and they have this window, plus down below it might say, what are you doing for Memorial Day or whatever, and that kind of stuff.
Yep. And because you actually verified your listing with that email address, they're going to send you an email prior to the holidays happening that says,
Gotcha.
Do you have different holiday hours? Click here to actually add those. And you'll go right into your Google My Business dashboard, and you can add those hours, and it makes it so easy.
John asked, is it related to the reviews in my maps? And I know earlier Arthur asked what can be done about false reviews or an unknown review or something like that. So, I mean, you can address those now or you can touch on them later if you're going to hit them. But
yeah, no, and reviews, because you've verified your listing, you'll have full control of this. You cannot delete a review, right? But you can reply to that review because it's going to be public to everybody. Now, if it's something that's against one of your employees, or it's just one of those random negative reviews that people get that doesn't make sense. We didn't have a customer like that, and we don't know why we're getting it. There's when you go into the review, there's a flag, and you can actually click on the flag, and it will ask you some questions. But what you're doing at that point is you're reporting it, and when you report it, it's going to go directly to a Googler that's responsible for those. And then sometimes it's automated by a robot, so that it might clearly see something that's hate speech or whatever it might be, and automatically remove it. Or it might go into a process where somebody's manually reviewing it and then it goes away. But then you also have to check, if you do a search for Google My Business reviews terms of service, you'll start to read what they can and can't do, what you as a business owner can and can't do to get it removed, right?
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of rules.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of good rules made for the business owner.
And Sheila says, I've had my hours changed without my changing it. Then I get a note from Google to check them. Only happened twice. Don't know what that was all about.
That actually, I think that I remember people saying that my hours changed. It depends on the person that's doing it. I think for a while, Google local guides could quickly just make a change and it went instantly. But then it was also a review process where you could revert it. I think that's fixed now, where it's more, it has to come in and it goes back to those suggestions where it says,
Gotcha.
Review.
Gotcha.
I don't think that there's that much where it changes automatically. But Sheila, reach out to me if it continues to happen, and I'll do my best to get a better answer for you.
Cool.
So then let's bring into, did we have any other questions in the audience?
No, that's it right now. Yep, you got it.
Perfect. Sheila, I hope I answered your question. Again, you know how to get a hold of me otherwise too. And thanks for being here. Insights. This is a powerful tool for businesses. When we start to look at what are people actually doing? So why is it important for me to have this verified as a business? And what can I see or glean for my business that I can do better with, right? So in this case, the first screen is going to end up being, how did people actually find us? What did customers search for? Did they actually directly find us, or did they go as discovery? They were looking for a specific keyword and they came across our map listing and then clicked through and helped buy or buy our products, or did they actually get our services? which is very important. I think, when we go back into all the analytics in the future, so when we go into Google Analytics or we go into Google Webmaster Tools Search Console, that plays a big part of how am I getting traffic to my website. So when we start talking about the queries, so going back to, if we look at this tab again, we have direct and we have discovery. So discovery, that's where we go into this next phase. What did they actually type in to find our listing? In this case, a lot of it could be just Casey strings. Sometimes if they were in my area, they just typed in cello or violin. Now they're actually seeing what, my listing, because I might just be right down the street from them. So it's focused on a radius. There's a whole lot of different pieces that go into how the actual algorithm picks your business versus a different one. But we can see right here the users, how many times it's actually been presented. So somebody typed in violin and 206 people actually typed in violin. They clicked on my map listing and were reviewing this, which is very powerful. You can also say violin strings. So somebody was looking to actually get replacements and they were probably very close to me. So basically they came in the store and probably got those strings from us. You can then see even further. I wanted to also point out here too, I'm only looking this tab up here where it's 1 month. You can drop this down arrow down and you'll see, I think up to 90 days. So it's a 30 day. So this is the first off is 30 days, then you 60 and then the 90. So you can kind of get a pattern of what's being searched for. And it goes for every single one of the insight reports. So I can see this next one, which is going to be how many businesses viewed my listing. So remember we were talking about they typed in a query and they found my listing and they engaged with my listing. This is going to talk about how. So we were talking about in the very beginning when we typed in KC strings, we were on the all tab, right? And then we clicked over on the maps tab and then we were able to see a little bit more detail for that. This is the report that's going to give me search or maps, right? So what interface were they actually engaging in? Most of the time on your mobile, it's going to be maps, right? You're not going to typically see, you may see the actual, it's a hit and miss, right? Depends on your query. If I type in just Casey strings, the business name itself, it's going to give me that scorecard of the business name, and then click on a website opportunity. It's going to give me a telephone number, so I can click on a telephone number and directly call from my mobile, which is super powerful. So 6,000 from the search, 10,000, again, going back just 1 month. So that's a lot of people in a smaller amount of time going to our listing. And then as we scroll down from this insight report, we see even more data. So then same thing, how many people even went from that map scorecard to your website? How many people even asked for directions? So if you're a restaurant, how many people are asking for directions means a customer is actually coming to your restaurant. And that's a good signal. Or how many people called you? So if you're also that restaurant owner, and we can use any other genre. So let's go back to Casey Strings. They requested directions. They were looking for violin strings, and they probably traveled there to go get those strings. So I may not know online that was a purchase, but it gives me a good, clear signal that my listing is getting found for my business faster for relevant terms. So calling, it tracks. There's a lot of things it does with tracking, but then as you go into direction requests, so a little bit further down, so as we were just looking at the calls, visited your site, requested directions, called you. Now let's take a look at your radius. So we always talk about when you do a Google search and you're looking for something, say a restaurant or a particular type of store, it's going to give you the closest around you based off of your GPS. And so this is not going to give you any like personal data. Right. It's just going to give you like a zip code radius. So how many people, and you can see right here, the address is right here in the middle. Yeah. So and you can see people coming from Overland Park. So it might not just be this area.
That's
They're
pretty
coming
cool.
from outside of the business just to come to your store, right? Now, why Roland Park is not actually highlighted in this heat map, it might be down further, but that might actually be less people populated for the instrument industry, right? So Kansas City would be the concert area, and most of the Their business is actually a lot of schools. So you'll see a lot of that. Now, here's another fascinating. So basically, when you talk about total calls, what is the actual day that you got most of the calls? If we looked at my hours, my business hours, again, Sunday, business is closed. So of course I'm not probably going to get phone calls on that day because it says on the map, how many times I'm going to get called. But it does give me a good percentage of how many people call. Now there's also another one, and this is actually not shown, I don't think, in this one. But when you look on the map itself from your cell phone or on your computer, it'll tell you if that place is busy or not. I really like that feature. So you might be wanting to go to a restaurant and you'll know, oh, this time is always super busy. Maybe I'll go before or after. And so you can plan your day, your evening around that. Other things like photos. We saw on the main interface, we saw pictures that people were looking at. In this view, nobody really has added pictures to their website, but if you drop down there's a little button right here. It says all photos. So I'm seeing all photos. Right now it just says 15,000. But if somebody was to upload a picture, say going back to the restaurant, right? A lot of people like to take pictures of their food. I know I do. And I'll add it and I'll put a review up there as well. That's where this is going to show up. Right now you're basically seeing all photos. If you're like a restaurant, people are actually putting their pictures on your map listing. That's going to show you how many clicks traffic is going to that. And going back to the opportunity of flagging images. So same thing, if people are adding reviews and they might be irrelevant reviews, same thing with images or videos. They may add a video or an image to your map listing. That's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes for certain people. But what I'm saying is there's a little icon that says flag this image. And it immediately goes into the system for review. So they're really been for the business owner and helping them through that process. I remember way back in the beginning, it took a long time to get certain images removed quickly. Yeah. But they've really increased on that with years. So here's the example I showed of that drop down. So customer photos versus owner photos. So owner photos are what you're actually uploading from that. You got a question?
John asked, can you add your own search words anywhere so that you can increase your hits?
No. Yeah. Basically, it's going to be focused on completely algorithm based. So there's categories that you can list yourself in when you actually set it up, but those are just broad categories. So if I'm a restaurant, basically that's going to be
right.
It's going to go through a lot of different details. So your website, your menu, all those different quality signals out there, people talking about you. You might be reviewed. So a restaurant might be reviewed in a magazine, and all those different signals Google takes in consideration, and that's where those keywords come from. Mm-hmm. So there's really nothing you can optimize for, but it's always a good thing to look at those, because then you can start to also go, okay, well, I keep coming up for violin strings, but I don't have anywhere on my website other than my shopping cart where we talk about violin strings. So maybe I would want to do an article focused around what to look for, beginners to advanced, and build a nice piece of content that maybe even have video tutorials on how to string the violin with those. So you may come to my store and buy the strings, but when you get home, it might be too advanced to actually know how to do that. But if I had a video showing how to do that, that might make more sense. And it goes back to your visitor experience, right? So all those qualities, I think, do play into the algorithm. So just like and we're going to touch a little bit just briefly on the Google Analytics and the Search Console Webmaster Tools here. And I'll show you some of those other queries that you're going to get those reports from as well.
Okay.
So hopefully they answer
John's question, yeah.
Thank you for that question, John. So the screen we're on right now are the reviews. So we kind of touch back and forth. My comment down here, it's always important to reply back to a good or bad review. So a lot of people go, oh my gosh, I don't know how to, that was a bad review. But, there's things you can do with your company from these reviews too. If somebody's giving you, hey, by the way, the delivery of that product was 3 weeks versus what you say on your website that says, 2 to 5 business days. Well, that might be a signal where you might want to correct that in your company too. Thanking them for the opportunity for the product, purchase, as well as maybe, thank you for the feedback. We were going to definitely take that back in consideration and make those changes. So I've used it in multiple ways. So customer care type environments where you're looking at a negative and going, oh my gosh, what did I do bad? Or
right.
All of a sudden you're just getting straight 5 stars. But most companies are going to get those 4 stars, 3 stars, once in a while 1 star. But that's you're dealing with so many customers at one time, so it's a matter of you may get those. So again, there's opportunity to flag a review as well. So you can't delete them, but you can flag them, and then Google's system will delete them if it meets the criteria of the terms of service. Here's another one that's fairly new, which is basically a messaging way. So on the map listing itself on the Google search or on your phone, there's a little tab in there. If the company has set this up, that it will text. You can type in a message from your phone on the map listing, and it will connect to you as the business owner to whatever cell phone you provide that accepts text messages. So it has to be able to actually accept the SMS, because as you're going through the process here, you're entering your phone number and you're receiving a code. So it has to be able to do that. So a lot of business phones may not do that, but then you might have just one dedicated phone that is made for text messages, or even on the some people I've seen at restaurants where they've got a little text message box that's basically on the phone on the counter for reservations, and they're constantly checking just that one company phone for text messages for this. Photos. So when you're in the admin dashboard, this is where you get a chance to add all those pictures. One being your cover picture, so what it looks like on the map listing, your profile image, or your logo. In this case, they've used both the profile image and the logo for that view. And then there's additional images in here, but you can see that this cover photo, it's already been viewed 2,000 page. This was uploaded in 2016. So there's more detail when you get in that. I did capture that information as far as
we can't capture everything tonight anyway.
How are we doing on time, by the way? I think we're at we stop. Okay.
Yeah, we got about 5-10 minutes, something like that.
All right. Well, I'll try to get through as much as I can. I wanted to get
into
the Search Console. So this is another free tool that Google gives you. If you just type in Google Search Console, again, Webmaster Tools, you'll see in their URL that it says Webmaster Tools. So again, another name change. But this is also a free tool. Log in you're basically signing in with your Google account. There's more details as far as learn, connect. Basically, it's going to talk about a lot of things webmasters can do. So if you're the business owner and you're also the webmaster, this could be very helpful for you for tutorials on how to actually make a quality site, what Google's looking for, and so on. Once you're in the actual dashboard and you're going through the verification process, you would then, at the same time as set up, and it will walk you through setup instructions, like you have to have this code on your website, and then it'll verify. Most of the time it's tied with Google Analytics. So if you've already set up Google Analytics, it will just automatically verify with that. So it says, okay, the same account has that. And this dashboard is going to tell you some very valuable information, right? So as an overview, this goes back into search analytics, which is queries. So what are people finding me with? Over on this side, it's crawl errors. So when Google goes through your website, it's going to see if it finds any problems, because every page might be perfect for it to show up in the search engine. Going back to when somebody types in violin strings, you want your website to show up. And this is one of those ways to get that done. But then you can see there's 42 errors here, and I have 94 warnings in my sitemap. A sitemap is just basically a document that lives out there that has a list of all my pages. So I won't go too much into that. But when you're in that crawl error, it'll tell you a lot of these things. So in the beginning, it had looks like almost 25 maybe errors or access denied. And so our webmaster went through and fixed all those. And you can see the drop here. And so that's another thing that Search Console will then help you with. And the next one is going to be 42. And these are basically error pages like 404s. I mean, somebody actually clicked on the link and it gave me an error page. So that error page might have been because I just moved my website and it has a different name now, right? And so they just got to the wrong link. And so I can easily do that. WordPress is probably the easiest to do redirects with, and they're called what's called a I won't go too much into this one, but it's a 301 redirect, which is a permanent redirect, right? So if you change the website and you had violinstrings.html, and now it's actually violinstrings.php, you know, you're going to want to redirect all those links to that. And that's what's going to tell Google this is the right link. The other area you can dive more in detail, I won't cover that just yet. Maybe we'll do a whole other webinar on this stuff.
Right.
Because I think there's a lot to get in here. 404s are definitely not going to, you know, they don't harm your website, but it does degrade the quality experience of a visitor. If they're constantly getting 404 pages, error pages, then it could be a bad experience. Going back into the analytics, going back to the query stuff, I have it defaulted. I normally put on clicks, impression, CTR, which is click-through rate, and then position. Where am I actually positioned on these results? Going back to the actual query, we can see here, you know, KC Strings, Olathe. Where do I actually rank on that one? How many clicks? So this is all raw information that Google's providing to you as a webmaster for free, which is goes back to being able to write for your pages. So when you look at the same report, we looked at queries, but you can also click on the actual tab for pages and you get the same type of information. You'll now know, you know, what kind of positions your pages rank for. And then when you click on these pages inside this dashboard, you'll see the queries, which is nice. One of the bigger and the most important reasons why to register your website for free on Google Webmaster Tools or Search Console is these messages. If there's a problem with your website, it's going to send you a message. If you were hacked, it's going to send you a message. You wouldn't have these messages and you wouldn't know. You might actually have something completely wrong where Google can't crawl any of your pages. And you're wondering, well, why am I not showing up for any search results? That message is going to come in handy. Analytics, and I think we're almost out of time here, but analytics is another key thing. So all these tools being free, easy to set up. You're just putting a piece of code on every page. There's a ton of information out here. So if you just do the same thing, search for Google Analytics, you'll see how to get started and set that up. And this is kind of what it looks like. So when you log into it, you're going to see your base traffic, your bounce rate, how often people are coming to your website, but they're leaving. That might be an indicator that something wrong with your website or just wrong search query. Could be a lot of different things, but that's where you get to use this tool and really kind of go and dive in. You can start to see what search engines or what places are actually sending you the most traffic. In this case, Google Organic. And then you can also see down here at the bottom, how long did they spend on your web page? How many pages did they go through on your site? And what was your traffic there? Back to the same thing we looked at inside Webmaster Tools, Search Console. We can look at the page level. How long are they actually visiting that page? And is there something that we might need to work on? If it's 100% bounce, that may be an indicator that something's wrong with that page or that content is just not valuable enough, or they got the answer they need. Right? So totally different signals that you can, so even though a bounce rate is 100%, may not mean that that's a problem page. So it just matters on what the actual page is going through. Another tool I like to use, which is going to be the site audit, SEMrush. It's a fantastic tool for doing multiple things. They have a free, so you can actually type in your domain name and they are going to ask you for a username and password. So you're going to set up a free account. so it's not charging anything, but at least you can see in the behind the scenes, it's going to give you a lot of information really quickly, again, for free. And this is what you're going to see when you actually log into it. So once you've actually filled out that form, you get to see the traffic trends all time. I mean, you can see all the way back to 2010 with this website getting traffic. And you can see kind of peaks and levels of that. The other thing that's really nice about this tool is I can then go back in my queries. How many queries is this actually finding of my site? How many things are actually showing in the knowledge panel? Knowledge panel is that answer. It's you ask a question.
Yeah.
You know, how do I play a cello? Well, there's going to probably, or you know, how do I put on a violin string? That answer is going to be there most of the time. Site audit. This is a great tool for just being able to give you kind of a health check. So it gives you a health check of what your website's doing, quality, how many errors it found, warnings, and just suggestions for you. One last tool, and then we're pretty much done here. It's going to be Sitebulb. So just like we were talking about with the audit here, Sitebulb is another tool, and both these are paid tools. So the free tool, you're going to get 10 tries, and then this one also has a free trial, and it'll scan your website. It gives you a majority of the information, but some of the higher level analytics stuff, they're going to be charging. But again, this one's only like $49 a month, so it's really not that bad. But you know, when we were actually trying to get a website ranked in the search engine, everything back to, you know, like a car. You know, if you have problems with your brakes, you're going to get those fixed, right? So you might not see that your website's performing or has problems with its brakes or its tires going low, but these tools kind of give you that perspective of what to fix or how to have your webmaster fix it.
Yeah.
And that is the end of my slides.
Okay.
I think that was probably 60-something slides, so thanks for bearing with me on that one. I think 63 to be exact.
Quite a few. Yeah, no, and I knew that going in, but I just wanted to make sure that we covered a lot of this stuff, because a lot of people, this is interesting too, and especially people that have small businesses and stuff that they're working on and things like that. So I'm so glad that you came on and shared this. I appreciate you doing that. That was awesome. I mean, it was really good. There's a lot to it, though. I mean, there's a lot. My brain was just frying, trying to think, oh, wow, this is cool. But I mean, it's just also at the same time, you're going, this is really a lot of information. So good.
But you know, the fun part about these shows is you can always rewind.
Exactly. Go back on my channel, come back in, watch it again. You can see exactly. Absolutely. So.
And we can definitely do this again, and I can go into more depth of Google Analytics. I think we had a couple people on there doing Google Analytics and some of these things too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that'd be great. I think it'd be wonderful if you do that. I'd just plan on it. I mean, because if you dig in more, then they understand why they need it or whether they need it, that kind of thing. So some people just don't think they need it. Nah, I don't need to do that. I just don't need to do that or whatever. So this way, maybe that'll open the door for that to happen. So.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Even with, you know, with technology evolving so fast, you know, mobile devices. Now, how does your website perform on a mobile? You know, that's important, especially if that's going to be like the majority of your traffic.
Exactly. That is so true. So true. William, again, I thank you. I really appreciate you being on. Folks, thank you so much, everybody that showed up in the audience and everything. Let me see. There is a question. It looks like Ross put something out there. It says, how much value is there in trying to utilize all these tools when building up a business as a solo operator?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question because, I mean, as a business owner and an accountant, when you own a business and you're a solopreneur, you're doing everything. You're accounting, your sales, your
website designer. Yeah, exactly.
So trying to get people to do business with you. And I think in today's age, a website is so important.
Yes, yes. And like you said, mobile too. Mobile website is important too. How that shows up there, because a lot of people are on their phone now. It's just the way it is.
And if I can't see anything, and it's basically like I have to scroll or zoom, and I'm going to go to the next person. I'm going to hit back on that search engine, and I'm going to find the next person that I can read their text, or I get the answer that I want. And then if I get that answer, I'm going to be probably contacting that company and employing their services. So
That's right.
you want to be that person that is going to end up getting that client in the first touch.
Yep, exactly.
You don't have a second chance normally. So if they're already there, how do you keep them there? And that's where these tools are, I think, super relevant, especially the first three, the Google My Business, Google Analytics, and Webmaster Tools and Search Console. Again, free, easy to set up, provides all the details you really, really need as a solopreneur.
Yeah, perfect.
Now, those other two that I recommended, Sitebulb and SEMrush, that's a flush of new stuff. So now that gives you that opportunity. Once you've already done these criteria first, then you have the opportunity to employ those one at a time and start to see what you like and what you need out of that tool. You may not need any one of those paid tools, but you may just kind of find in your suite of three main tools the power of having that, and then going back into all the tutorials that Google's going to give you to learn more.
There you go.
Hope that helps you.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run because we've got to keep this rolling. Anybody wants to come in afterward, anybody that's a community member, please join us. William will stick around for a little bit. He's agreed to do that. I don't want this to go too long because I want him to stick around for a little bit, at least to chat with some of you folks. Those that are in the community, I will send that link out right now to you, and you can come in and join us. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. You too, William. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will definitely have you on again.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you. And let me